Don't touch my fazioli. The man's icy voice sliced through the air, and then, slam, the piano lid came crashing down. Maya's fingers jerked back just in time. Maya Washington, 17 years old, hair tied in a neat bun, a simple black dress, sat frozen in front of the $300,000 grand piano. Her breath caught midway. Dozens of phones pointed toward the stage. A few gasps of, "Oh my God," slipped out, then died away. Marcus Thorne, the director of the prestigious Prewitt Academy of Music, pulled his hand back, the large gold ring on his finger flashing under the lights. He leaned forward slightly, just enough for the microphone to catch. "Shall we?" "Let's not turn an audition into a circus." Maya looked up. No flinching, no pleading. Her eyes were like a winter lake, clear and cold. From the judges' row, Professor Eva Rostova burst out, her voice trembling with anger. "Marcus, what did you just do?"
"That was outrageous."
Thorne only shrugged, half a smirk on his face. "Compassion, Eva. I just saved the girl from a very public embarrassment." Maya didn't rise from her seat. She rested her palm lightly on the lid, feeling the vibration still lingering. Her heartbeat stayed steady. 1, 2, 3. Grandma D always said, "When they slam the door on you, listen to the echo. That's how you know the room's bigger than their ego." This place, echoing like a packed Bulls game at the United Center, and full of that old-school bias they don't even admit to. What no one saw coming. That slam didn't kill her vibe. It just lit the fuse on Marcus Thorne's whole career going up in flames. The real question was, why would a 17-year-old girl from Chicago's South Side frighten such a powerful man enough that he'd choose the lowest move of all, silencing her music before a single note could be heard? Prewitt Academy isn't just a school. It's a legacy. Marcus Thorne spoke into the microphone, each word dropping like a hammer onto a coffin lid. "We train legends, not charity projects." The hall stirred with murmurs. Evening gowns, black suits, the mix of expensive perfume, and the faint scent of polished wood from the stage. The ceiling lights glowed softly and coldly, like falling snow. In the front row, a few first-year students whispered, half curious, half smug. Thorne's eyes slid over Maya's plain black dress as if it were a warning label. Legacy is built on talent, not on zip codes. Professor Eva Rostova straightened her back, her voice rough but sharp as the edge of crystal. "Southside produces artists too, Marcus." A short, dismissive laugh. "Talent?" Thorne repeated, his eyes gleaming with icy pride. "Eva, let's not pretend. This year's scholarship has already been reserved for Senator Hamilton's daughter. This audition, it's just for the cameras. The public likes to cheer for the underdog. This girl is background scenery." The whole room froze like someone hit pause on a bad reality show. Phones shot up like it was the Super Bowl halftime scandal.
"Oh my God,"
someone gasped. Another whispered, "Did he just say that out loud?" On camera, Maya stood tall. She didn't speak. She opened her music bag, pulling out sheets that were yellowed, creased, and the corners taped together. The rustle of paper was its own calm reply. "No iPad?" A boy snickered. She looked up steady. "Don't need one." She set the sheets on the stand, smoothing them down like ironing out a wrinkle in memory. On the margin, handwritten notes. "Dee's bell. Don't fear the chime." The faded ink of her grandmother's pen. Its smell, faint and cold, like a South Side winter night, real, raw, unapologetic. A girl in the front row squinted. "Wait, is that a transcription of La Campanella?" "The impossible one." Her friend swallowed. "The cursed piece." "They say so. Fingers have to leap non-stop. Miss one note and you're done." Maya stayed silent. In her mind, Grandma D's voice floated through. "Don't play to prove you're good. Play to remind them that music doesn't need a permission slip at the door." Marcus sensed his upper hand slipping. He shifted tactics, his tone suddenly sugar-coated, the knife wrapped in caramel. "Miss Washington," he said, using her surname like a gift, "I have a generous offer. A full scholarship to the local community college. Something practical. Business, nursing, whatever you choose. A real chance to change your life." Heads in the audience nodded approvingly. People love cheap kindness when it lets them feel less guilty. Rostova did not nod. She tilted her head at him as if hearing a wrong chord. "Are you advising her or exiling her?" Marcus sighed. We all know this girl doesn't belong here. I'm saving her the pain. Maya's lips curved, almost into a smile. Pain, she repeated softly. In her mind, the sound of ambulance sirens, metal scraping, denim catching fire in an old winter accident. Pain was a word she had already lived with. It didn't scare her anymore. She thought of the church basement on 63rd Street, where the upright piano was missing keys, where Grandma D burned broken chairs for warmth, where gunshots sometimes interrupted an E7 chord. That was where she learned to listen. That was where she learned not to run when the music shifted key without warning. South Side isn't the nightclub, a socialite whispered to her friend. The girl's dreaming of Hollywood. Maya pressed her hand flat against the lid of the Fazioli. Cold, different wood from the church piano, smooth, glossy, promising. But wood is still wood. She remembered Dee's words. Any wood will sing if you touch the right spot. A boy stood up, raising his phone. Live stream, he said. My friends won't believe this is happening. Marcus noticed, but he was used to cameras. He turned toward them, straightened his tie. Prewitt isn't a political stage, he said smoothly. We honor every dream, but my duty is to protect the standard. An emotional experiment can't replace technique. Then listen to the technique, Rostova snapped. And stay quiet. The back door opened. A group of Prewitt PR staff peeked in, the smell of lunch still clinging to their jackets. They'd heard there was drama. Drama fed algorithms. Algorithms fed donors. Maya looked out at the hall, wealthy elites, broke students, curious onlookers who lingered just to see the mess. She saw eyes begging her to choose safety, a way out, a polite yes. She remembered her mother's last voicemail before the accident. To swim across, you have to stop looking down. Thank you for the offer, Maya said evenly. The South Side in her tone, straight, economical with words. But I didn't come here to be rerouted. Then why did you come? Marcus asked, sounding genuinely amused by the heroic answer he was sure no one would remember tomorrow. To claim what's mine, the hall trembled. Not applause, the sound of expectations bursting like soap bubbles. They hadn't expected certainty from a 17-year-old girl in a simple black dress, hair tied up, shoes from a thrift store. But certainty has its own smell like ozone before a storm. Marcus tapped his fingers on the judge's table, a careless but aggressive rhythm. Ambition, he said almost tenderly. Lovely, but what about the bill? Bills need signatures too, Maya replied. And tonight, the signature is mine. A ripple of laughter, then silence. Everyone waited for him, the man with the gold ring, the silk tie, the academy voice, to puncture her bubble. He'd done it for years, with more precision than a tremolo. Fine, Marcus said, switching gears. Then let's play. A different game, he signaled. An assistant brought a clipboard. A simple pledge, he explained, eyes flicking to the phone's recording. If you cannot play La Campanella flawlessly, without a single mistake, you pledge never to apply to any top conservatory in this country. Ever. He nailed the last word into the wood. A wave of gasps rolled through the hall. A student covered her mouth. A wealthy donor raised his brows, delighted. Higher drama meant higher donations. PR by the door looked both horrified and thrilled. Insane, Rostova shouted, leaping up. Marcus, this is extortion. Completely voluntary, he replied, like a lawyer reading a disclaimer. Or she takes the community college offer. My kindness has conditions. Because of her, Maya didn't look at the paper. She looked at the piano. She heard a faint ding from memory. A bell. One night when Grandma D played at a club on 79th Street. Glasses clinking. A drunk man crying over a bridge. The bell called her name. Listen. Girl, another judge whispered, head bowed. Don't sign. It's a trap. Maya turned to Rostova. Their eyes met. The old woman gave a tiny nod. No advice, no warning. Just recognition. You don't fear my failure, Mr. Thorne, Maya said. You fear my success. The front row jerked upright. The words cut like a thin blade, clean and precise. Marcus smiled, without the smile. Only teeth. Sign, he ordered. Maya picked up the pen. Blue ink flowed like the Chicago River, dyed green each March. Shh. Her name, Maya Washington, swept across the page like a confident legato. Phones zoomed in. Someone whispered, "She's crazy." Another answered, "She's free." Rostova exhaled. Not a sigh, a release. Maya set the pen down, lifted her gaze to the piano. "My turn," she said. And on that night, Prewitt Academy was no longer a sanctuary for prejudice hung like portraits on the wall. It had become a courtroom. Your place? Marcus laughed, the sound like a bottle cap snapping off. These kids started when they were still in diapers. Their parents are conductors and composers. And your grandmother, what was she? A bar singer in Chicago? My grandmother was an artist, Maya answered, her voice as straight as a newly tuned string. She taught me this. Music isn't in the bloodline, it's in the soul. Soul doesn't buy perfect tempo, Marcus sneered, drumming an andante rhythm on the table. But the game is set. I'm waiting for the first mistake. Maya pulled out the bench, the sound sharp and final like a door latch. She sat down, made no adjustments, her shoulders loose, the veins in her wrists faintly showing, her eyes locked on the black and white keys like painted lines on a road. She wasn't asking for luck or mercy. She was asking for music. She remembered Dee's hands, rough from washing dishes at night before playing until 3 in the morning. Don't fight the notes, Dee had told her. Hold them close. Her thumb touched the ivory. A fraction of silence dropped, and then the first note. Not just a sound, but a crack, and from that crack, pure fire spilled out, like the opening riff of a Kendrick Lamar track dropping in a packed arena. La Campanella came down like hail, but every stone landed in its place. Her index finger flew, her pinky anchored, her wrist dipped, her arm swam. The hottest part, the relentless leaps, the dazzling trills, her right hand chasing bells across the tower. In the third row, a student whispered, "That's speed." "That clean?" His friend muttered, "If it's a recording." But the first shook his head. Quiet. You can hear her breathing. Marcus tilted his head, brows knitting as if a stray note had slipped into B-flat. Into the mic, soft but pointed, he told his PR aide, "Check it. Don't let a cheat slip through." Rostova didn't blink. She heard something else, not mistakes, but intention. Those subtle delays like the scrape of a chair in a jazz club at 2 a.m. Maya felt the hall changing. The creak of chairs, the shifting whispers, but she let them drift. She surged into the appoggiatura, lightning rising, then paused a hair's breadth, inserting the tremor Dee had taught her. Don't rush. Let them remember they're alive. Marcus leaned over, whispering like a Bond villain. "Cut the mic, now!" His aide just shrugged. "Boss, mics are judges only. You're living in the whole room, like it or not." Marcus's hand clenched his ring. Maya skimmed the sheet music like walking an old street. The scent of polished wood gave way to fried chicken oil, wet wool, and snow melting into shoes. "Don't look down at the river," her mother had said. She didn't. At the cadenza, she slipped a tiny turn between 2 arpeggios, a wink to anyone who'd sat in that dark corner of the 63rd Street Club, listening to Dee bend a blue note from apology into promise. Another judge muttered, "Wrong score." "No," Rostova replied softly. "Living score." Backstage, staff whispered urgently. Quincy Jones was on his way. Who invited him? Eva Rostova. Marcus will lose his mind. On stage, Maya knew none of that. She only knew the drop point. Every life has one. Miss it and you stagger for years. Hit it, and a door you thought was locked for the rich swings open. She closed her eyes for half a second, opened them with no tremor left. Right hand cutting water, left hand anchoring heartbeats. No mistakes, no apologies. Marcus waited like a vulture for the slip that never came. The little bell kept ringing. He muttered, "Enough," reaching for the mic when the side door opened. Quincy Jones entered with the quiet authority of a man who had lived through entire shifts of time. The hall recognized him instantly. A wave of whispers. Marcus froze, then shaped a PR smile. An honor. Quincy didn't glance at him. His eyes were on Maya's hands, and his faint smile was the kind reserved for a child who'd just given the right answer to a question no one else dared. Maya reached the peak and did the riskiest thing of the night. She bent list structure. Not destroyed, opened a window. Through it came jazz, tight, clean, a double language only fingers raised in 2 worlds could manage. Blue notes slid like drops of coffee into milk. Not muddy, rich. The hall held its breath. The trained widened their eyes. The untrained still knew something was right. "Stop!" Marcus barked, rising. "Enough to— Sit down, Marcus." Quincy's voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of a brass section. Marcus obeyed. Maya smiled faintly, not in arrogance, but in recognition. She dropped in Dee's old riff, a phrase once applauded until hands ached in a South Side club, and it fit La Campanella like a missing puzzle piece. "She's rewriting list," someone whispered. "No," Rostova corrected. "She's answering him." Students stood to see better, phones buzzing with live stream alerts, but no one lowered them. They couldn't miss the next note. Maya saw Dee's face at the edge of the stage, unreal but warm enough. "Breathe, child." She did, every breath woven into rhythm. As she drove toward the finale, Marcus hissed at Rostova, "You called him here to bring me down?" Rostova's lips curved. "No one brings you down better than you, Marcus." Maya lowered her hands, not to stop, but to shift. The endgame loomed, 3 minutes to brand a night forever. She heard her heartbeat, not rushing, steady in time. And then she leapt. This was no longer an audition. It was an execution, but not for the 17-year-old girl. For prejudice itself. The first note of the finale dropped like molten metal into cold water. Hiss, like hot coffee spilling on Lake Michigan ice in January. The whole hall buzzed, like they just chugged a triple espresso. Maya's right hand leapt wide across the keys, the kind of leaps people called insane, while her left hand lay on the ground like a heartbeat steadying a runner. A slip? No. A stumble? No. Clean as glass, freshly wiped. Marcus stopped smiling. He searched the room for allies. The judges leaned forward, pulled by invisible magnets. The PR staff at the back door edged away. They could smell a story no longer under control. "Playback?" Someone whispered. "No speakers," another replied. "That's real." Rostova spotted what she had been waiting for. A tiny turn at the end of a phrase, a jazz breath from the 1960s. D. She pulled out her phone, typed quickly, "You need to come." "Dee's girl, she's here. She's not imitating. She's bleeding music." The side door cracked open. Quincy stood there, eyes catching the beat like a drummer dropping perfectly into the bar. He didn't speak. He listened. Maya remembered the coldest night at 10 years old, the heater dead, Dee wrapping her in a blanket, fingers trembling with arthritis but still showing her how to cut air between 2 quick notes so the next one had room to land. Music wasn't speed. It was space that knew how to love. She left that space open, just a sliver, right before diving into the final cluster. A collective exhale swept the hall like men loosening their ties. Marcus shot up. "Enough!" "Sit down," Quincy said, his eyes never leaving the piano. Not a command. A weight is placed on a shaking table. Marcus sat as if someone had pulled the bones out of his back. Maya, unaware, uncaring, slipped into improvisation, a call and response between left and right. Like 2 voices across a street calling through the wind. List on her right shoulder, Dee on her left. They didn't compete. They conversed. They agreed the little bell didn't just ring in Italian churches. It rang in the South Side every night. A student began to cry, not knowing why. She texted her friend. "She's playing the same sadness I saw at the train station last week." Her friend sent back a heart, then put the phone down because she didn't want to miss another note. Midway, one key stiffened. Fazioli, though perfect, was still wood and wire. Maya heard it. She turned her wrist, shifted her angle, and the key softened as if freshly oiled. The audience didn't notice, but the artist did. The piano did. It answered with a gentler tone. Sweat trickled down Marcus's neck. He closed his eyes for a second, seeing again the legacy plan pinned in his office. Donors' money, senators' names, the gala, the new statue. All of it balanced on one truth. The hall had to believe he was the gatekeeper. And tonight the gate was swinging wide open. "Marcus," Rostova murmured, like a man about to do something foolish. "Don't make yourself smaller?" He didn't answer. He stared at those hands, 2 hands that didn't belong to conventional success. Not trained by 20 years of curriculum, not raised in houses with Steinways by the window. They grew up between sirens and broken radios. And tonight they commanded a Fazioli, like it was their native tongue. The finale erupted. Maya struck a cluster of staccatos like hail, immediately sliding into a legato smooth as mist. Across that seam she dropped a blue note, without permission. It was like a beautiful crack on white porcelain, not ruin, proof it was real. The audience rose, not in applause, but to see better, to do something with the energy surging through their bodies. And then silence. Not empty silence, full silence. Maya placed the last note, not slammed, placed it like naming a child. It didn't ring long. It faded quickly, so its meaning would not be wasted. Her fingers lifted from the keys. No tremor, the Fazioli had answered, and its answer was yes. When the last note fell, time froze. 1 second, 2, 3, no one breathed. Then, chairs scraped, heels clicked, hearts shifted rhythm. And like delayed thunder, the hall erupted. Not polite applause, a roar. Hands slapped raw, whistles pierced, and someone broke down crying. Quincy rose first, clapping slowly and heavily. He walked onto the stage as if crossing a bridge that had just been completed. Marcus blocked his way, his smile hard as porcelain. "Mr. Jones, what an honor!" Quincy didn't stop. He passed straight by as if the man were a lamppost. He placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. "Your name?" "Maya Washington, sir." Quincy smiled. "No, tonight you are the future." Cheers burst like confetti. Maya bowed, neither deep nor proud, just enough to say, "I hear you." Quincy turned back. He raised his phone. "Marcus, I've heard enough about the scholarship play for Senator Hamilton's daughter. About the contract you forced. About how you slammed the lid on a young artist." He handed the screen to Rostova. The recording of Thorne's voice blared clearly. "The board meets in 10 minutes. Don't pack your office just yet. Wait for the minutes." The hall exploded again, this time with the salt of justice. Students held phones high, and live stream numbers surged. PR staff's eyes went wide. The media storm had begun. Marcus's face drained. "This is staged." "No," Rostova said, eyes wet but voice dry. "This is truth, given a microphone." Maya stepped to the judge's table. The pledge paper still lay there, a small object stuffed with a grown man's ambition. She lifted it, thin, powerless without belief. She turned to the hall. The light struck her face, sweat glimmered like salt on her skin. She raised the paper high. Someone held their breath. Someone else half joked, "No." "Rip, she tore it in two." No anger, no trembling. Slow, like cutting away a knot of hair. The pieces drifted down, twirling, landing on the floor. That rip? Louder than the crowd losing it, like nails on a chalkboard, but the good kind that sticks in your brain forever. No backup singers needed. It spoke for itself. Marcus stepped forward, then stopped. He stared at the two scraps lying like dead butterflies. His mouth opened. No sound came. Maya turned to Quincy. "I don't need anyone's permission to play," she said, low and clear. "But I'm grateful for those who pull the stakes from the fence." Quincy nodded. "You didn't break the rules. You fixed the lock." From the wings, a silver-haired woman in a heavy coat, Delilah D. Washington, leaned against the wall. She was late a beat, slowed by the stairs and the cutting night wind. But she had heard enough. Her eyes shone, not from pride, from release. The invisible debt of a lifetime of unrecognized music had just been lifted. Maya saw her. She paused, like a runner brushing a hand against the mile marker. She didn't rush to hug her. She simply nodded. Dee nodded back. 2 generations exchanging the secret sign of those who hear the little bell. Rostova stepped forward, placing her hand over Maya's. "I have taught my whole life," she whispered. Tonight I was taught again. Behind them, PR scrambled. An email pinged, emergency board meeting, Prewitt. Marcus's name vanished from the gala speakers list. Another line of text, D. Washington Scholarship Fund, proposal. Rostova typed quickly and Quincy gave his verbal approval. "Do it now." Marcus staggered back, hitting a chair. He scanned for a familiar face. None answered. His allies were busy, thinking of their own futures. Power's like a bad tweet. It only travels if the crowd's retweeting. But when the room turns on you, it crashes harder than a dropped iPhone. Maya stepped to the mic. She hadn't planned to speak. But some words need to be voiced so those outside the hall can hear them through a screen. "Southside is not just bad news," she said. "We have my grandmother. A church that was cold but warm. A piano missing 3 keys taught me to count with my heart. I didn't come here to demand justice for myself. I came to remind you. If you slam a lid on a child because their skin or clothes don't fit, tomorrow you might wake up with no music at all. Silence. Then applause. Round 3, the loudest yet. Dee closed her eyes. She heard something few ever do, the sigh of the Fazioli. It had been played right. It was grateful. Maya bowed. Not too deep. She wasn't asking forgiveness. She was giving thanks. Then she turned and walked into the wings. No running. No looking back. She left behind a world trembling to its ligaments. On the second step, she paused, pulled out her phone. A draft message lit up, one meant for her mother, never sent. She added a line. I opened the lid, Mom. She saved it, not sent. Her mother would understand. In the wing's shadows, Dee laid a hand on her granddaughter's shoulder. You hear it? Maya smiled, tears hot on her face. The little bell. No, Dee whispered into her ear. The future. Out on stage, Marcus stood alone. The lights no longer favored him. On the chairs, 2 halves of paper lay together. A janitor would sweep them away in 5 minutes. But the cut they left on his legacy would not mend. That night, Maya Washington didn't topple a man. She toppled an idea. That talent has a color, that worth is measured in money, that doors exist only to stay shut. They tried to bury her dreams under all that gatekeeping BS. Little did they know. She was a full-on dandelion, popping up stronger, seeds flying everywhere. And when one person dares to rise against a system, will they become a hero or the next target? And we, listening now, what will we do once the little bell has woken us? The lesson today is simple but long-lasting. Talent doesn't come with a zip code, and the doors of legacy only open when someone dares to knock hard and hold them open for those behind. Kindness isn't weakness. Humility is strength, and one small act, standing tall, telling the truth, playing to the last note, can change the tempo of an entire room. The message is clear. If you see someone's lid slammed shut because of where they come from or the color of their skin, be the one who gently but firmly lifts it. Tonight it was Maya. Tomorrow it could be a child in your own neighborhood. If this story touched you, like and share to spread it. Comment on what door you believe you'll open or type, "Let the music play." Subscribe to Toch Story and ring the bell so you won't miss the stories that help us grow braver, kinder, and better, one day at a time.